the southwest of England, in the middle of May, the weather of 2021 is absolutely horrendous. It is cold and windy and wet, most unseasonal. But thankfully, inside my gorgeous polytunnel, things are still growing lush and green. So I thought today I'll give you a quick tour of what's growing where. Starting from the bottom, running up one side and back down the other. Oh, and something else running up and down the polytunnel. Hello, young man. So scanning us round, here in my first bottom bed, I have sweet corn. In this bed, I've got sweet corn. These are two stages of growth because I've started two different lots at two different times. And these are actually my leftovers that didn't go into the main growing site. I just germinated more than I had room to plant. So this is my overflow bed. And I'll be perfectly happy to have an overflow bed because the more sweet corn the better. It's delicious. I love it. But then if I didn't love it, I wouldn't be growing it. Would you like these peas? That's sweet corn. That's right, that's sweet corn. As we move up the polytunnel, I have potatoes planted in a small square bed at the back. Just after Christmas I put those in. So here are the first of the new potatoes I put in this year. Not flowering yet, so not ready to harvest yet. They'll certainly be the earliest crop I get. I really should mulch them deeper, but I haven't. Hey ho, never mind, it'll still grow me some tasty potatoes. More peas? And can I move us up without falling over? Oh, trucks and sandpits. This next bed has very little going on, to be honest. I have a small row of melon plants that seem to be struggling at the moment, but they're quite newly planted. In this first corner I have a tomato plant. I've just started stringing him up his support. And round the side of it we have a strawberry plant, well actually two strawberry plants, and a volunteer poppy. Now I've never planted poppies in the polytunnel, so this one must have come in with my compost. My homegrown compost, because I grow poppies at home outdoors all the time. Carrying on up the tunnel, in the next bed we have a raft of peas on both sides of this trellis. At the very far from us I have two volunteer chard plants. They didn't start there. When they volunteered elsewhere in the polytunnel, I've dug them up and planted them over there, a yellow and a red. The peas along this centre of this bed, again, something else is getting taller than me. And along the front of them, we have some lovely salady lettuces, some of which are just starting to go to seed. And this tomato that I've just started to give it a support string. And there are actually some onion plants in amongst that lot as well. Next bed along are the beans and sweet corn, the first thing that got planted in here this year. So here we have more sweet corn and beans. I planted them together and there's no trellis support, which normally I would give the beans. The idea and concept was that the sweet corn, with their strong, thick, hefty stalks, would help support the beans. But through most of their growing, the beans actually seem to have been slightly taller than the sweet corn. But it does seem to be working. We don't get any howling gales blowing through here, of course, so that helps. And the beans are still standing up tall and covered in flowers, so hopefully we'll get a nice crop of beans off them. And at the back of these beans I'm also growing lettuces, a nice mix of salad greens. On this side of them I have a row of pepper plants, only about 6 inches tall at the moment, and a strawberry on the end. Can we see? No, we can't. There, a strawberry on the end. And on the other side a lush hedge of salad greens. The next bed along, the salad greens growing here are Radicchio, I don't know how to say that. It's a sort of slightly cabbagey lettuce. I'm not sure I'm that impressed. I don't think I'll bother growing it again, but it's okay. It might be better as it starts to develop a more firmer head and centre. And yet more peas, because we love them, so we have to grow lots. On the other side of these peas, another strawberry in the end corner. And here in amongst these peas, I have the first of the baby gherkins starting to show their little fruits. So I'll soon be eating little gherkins, just like cucumbers, but smaller. So scanning us round onto the other side, this first top bed is the most recently planted. We have peas along the trellis in the middle, melons on the side nearest to us, a little flower on the end looking splendid. I've no idea what it is, just a pretty little flower. Here in this bed I have yet more sweet corn all lined up against the trellis. A succession sowing of peas on the other side of this trellis that are maybe only 8 inches tall at the moment. A row of peppers in front of our sweet corn. What have you seen? An ant? No? Yeah, see the fingers out in the mud. Yeah, a little mucky now. Yeah, bleh. You're bleh? You've gone clean? Okay. And a row of celeriac at the front. And lots of nasturtiums popping up, because this is my own compost and it's full of seeds from nasturtiums and squashes. It's really hard weeding. I'm not so much weeding the traditional considered weeds of dandelions and daisies, but I'm pulling out nasturtiums and squashes because they're just where I don't want them to be. You washed off the bit? You all clean now? All clean. By hard weeding, I don't mean physically difficult to do. I mean an emotional stress pulling up perfectly good, healthy, viable plants. So it's going to be another very busy, packed bed once things get going. The next bed along is quieter. A strawberry on the corner, followed by a lettuce. And here we have the best treasure of all today, our first strawberries. I think I might have to share that one with my little helper. Pop. What have I got? Strawberries. Yay. Let me take the green bit off and have a yum. Num. No, don't take the leaves off. Here you go. Num num. Yum. Doesn't get much better than that.
Num.
Yum yum. Yes, more num nums. It's nice to see this little one's eating the peas almost quicker than I can grow them.
Okay.
Obviously going to have to grow more next year. It is in the sky. Helicopter. Helicopter in the sky. Helicopter in the sky. Helicopter in the sky. It's okay. In the sky. And a tomato that I picked up at a little stall on the roadside. It said it's an Italian beefsteak tomato. I'm assuming a Roma. I don't know. Be interesting to see what it grows. Because I don't consider the Roma a beefsteak. We will see. On the other side of this trellis panel, or growing up the trellis, are gherkins, a later sowing, so not as well advanced as the ones by the peas. They're actually looking slightly yellow in the leaf, so I think they must be hungry. And some later sown lettuce salad greens. And carrying on down, a beautiful spread of flowers at the end of this bed. We have this extra bonus little bed of flowers, all self-seeded from last year's plants. They're actually growing outside of this raised bed in a little edgy path, in a little bit of soil along the edge of the path. They're looking very pretty though. I'm enjoying having them there. got a small tomato plant here, just starting to put on flowers, and peppers in this bed, along with onions and a French marigold. You can't quite see it, it's behind everything else. At the very back of the bed, the tall things are beetroots that are going to seed from last winter. Following on down and around, I have fennel, which is as tall as me. Hiding in behind it and looking extremely similar is the dill. And behind that, yet another Gardener's Delight tomato. Here, this fennel plant is getting taller than me. I like eating each of its little flower heads. They have that strong aniseedy flavour, and for me they are delicious. I eat every bit of this plant. And last but not least, this very end neglected bed. It's lots of chard from last winter that's seeding. I've also got a purpley cabbage seeding, and I'm quite happy about all these things going to seed because I'm delighted to be collecting the seeds. Normally with the cabbages I would be picking off the flowers and eating them in the salads, but I would actually like to harvest seeds from this purple variety. It's a very blue purple, and I can't remember what its original seed name was. It's really delicious, it looks really beautiful, and I would like to grow more of them. So I'm going to have to harvest my own seeds because I don't know what it was. The disadvantage of not keeping accurate track of your names and labels. Also got a sneaky bit of parsley up here, growing in the path and going to seed. It's been good. I've been harvesting it all winter. And not to be forgotten, the most important thing we're growing is grandchildren. Oh my, with gay abandon he stomps through all the flowers. I'm glad they're not a treasure that I planted on purpose. He's very good actually, he does stay pretty much out of the raised beds for most of the time. In the sky! Big aeroplane in the sky! In the sky! Is it you? Say hello! Hello! The sky! And the car's all muddy. This one's having a lovely time playing in the sand and the water with all his favourite trucks. Nice and muddy. Great fun for any little boy. Bum bum bum. Yeah, he probably won't go. He's full of mud. Should we give him a wash? See if we can fix him. This gorgeous splash of red was meant to be planted outdoors last year and never got that far. And it's still here in its pot in a watering tray, waiting to be transferred. Seems to quite like it in here though, so I think I'm going to let it stay. It's looking lovely. I don't know what it's called. I've had it for a couple of years. Again, I'm terrible with labels. I really should make an effort to improve on that. And not to be missed, the first of the water lilies is flowering in the pond. And this bed you may have seen earlier in the year. These are my pineapple lilies. I have two different varieties. I don't know the names of the different varieties. There's a surprise. I have these two that are really fat, hefty purple leaves, and I prefer them. And this one's much more prolific. Has slightly more green tinge to its leaves, and they're thinner and narrower, whereas these are broad and fat. My favourites are the broad, fat ones, and I've only got two, and I must have about a dozen of the others. But they're all splendid, and I like them all. Just these are my favourite. There's another random lily here. I don't know what that is, but it's definitely a lily. and in front of them are the gladioli bulbs that were enormous. So hopefully they should give us some decent, enormous flowers. So up for a closer bird's eye view of these pineapple lily plants. These are my more favourite ones, with much darker pink leaves, and they're slightly broader and wider. And I have two of those. And then the other pineapple lily has a narrower, more green tinge to its leaf, and slightly taller and narrower. So I've got 3 of them at the back. Oh, 4 of them actually. There's a baby one there. And I don't know how many here in this cluster. Here's a bird's eye view of that same bed this early spring, when I stripped off all the old compost and gave it a nice new top dressing of fresh compost and grassy mulch. My outdoor potatoes are just starting to show signs of life, but it's been so cold and miserable and horrible. It's just about the only thing I have planted outdoors so far this year. Some carrot seeds, that's been it. Potatoes and carrots. It's all the weather's been fit for. And here's those leeks I mentioned before that are starting to go to seed. I'm perfectly happy about that, because I shall collect the seeds ready to start new plants for next year. What have I got in here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got 4 of them left in the bed. There's only this one seeding at the moment. Oh no, this has got a head on it as well. Want this one? They're just hiding deep inside the plant still. What about this one? Yeah, it's got 1 too. So 4 leeks all going to seed. Something else I did plant this year is this chunk of rhubarb. Strawberries and cream, I think it's called. I will check. My mum gave me this chunk and it's doing quite nicely. It's enjoying all this rain we've had. It's given it a chance to settle into its new home quite well. I'm using this side of a compost bin as a piece of mulch. I'll be able to slide this door piece off and lift it all out without doing the rhubarb leaves any harm. What I did notice the other day is the cherry plum tree has got little tiny cherries on it. Well, little tiny plums really. It has small plums that are no bigger than a cherry, hence the name cherry plum. There's quite a few, so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about everything in the garden. It's wonderful. Now I'm going back in the polytunnel because it's cold out here. If you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to click that like button and let me know. Click subscribe and YouTube will make sure you see my next video. So bye for now, and we'll see you next time. And don't forget, whatever you're doing, have fun doing it.